Oh, hey, I didn't see you standing there. I'm digging through this bolt bin, looking for longer hardware than I have already. So stick with me till after the intro and I'll show you why.
Let's get started.
On a BAJA, whether it's gas or electric, you got this high spot right here on the transmission, and it keeps you from mounting anything in here flat that's big, because it won't seat. And I've been dealing with that for some years, and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to take this piece of carbon fiber and I'm going to make a plate that lays on top of the conversion. I'm going to trace out my top plate and get my holes and everything for the sides. And then I'm going to cut what I want and drill the holes, and it should lay flat. I'm going to notch out where the hump is in the trans case, and like I said, it should lay flat, and I can mount my ESC up a little bit more than it is. I got my top plate on my piece of carbon. I'm marking my outside edges and my holes. Here are my marks on my piece of carbon fiber. Here's what my piece is going to look like after measuring and marking. So I'm getting ready to drill my holes first. I usually just lay it flat and drill into it, and then I'm on a wood table, so if I drill into the table a little bit, that's okay. Trying not to make a mess with this carbon fiber, because that black carbon will not come out of stuff. So I get these holes drilled, and then after I get these holes drilled, we're going to cut the piece out. So be mindful when you're drilling this that carbon fiber is really hard like a rock, but it's also brittle, so it can crack or break. So you want to use sharp bits. You want to try to drill straight holes, not at an angle, and just trial and error. Confidence is a big part of doing something like this. Well, you know where your holes are. You put your drill bit down, you drill them. There's no hesitation. You're sure where it goes, and most of the time, it turns out like you want it. So I'm just going to take a little drill bit and kind of clean these holes up. The carbon fiber flakes, it's like little hairs of the carbon fiber in there. So when you drill it, it kind of frays. So we clean it up a little bit. We get these holes all done, then we'll be ready to cut. So before we cut it, we're going to check our holes. And here is the top plate actually bolted to the carbon fiber plate. So it's going to bolt up. Everything looks good and straight. The carbon fiber piece is straight down the back side, as you can see by the two bigger holes. Everything looks good, so now we're getting ready to cut it. I just use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel. It really tore through it pretty easy, faster than I thought once it got in it. Right here, I go to start cutting and I realize I didn't plug my Dremel in. So I plug my Dremel in and then we get to cutting. So when you're cutting this, you need to be mindful that at this point, if you slip, if something happens, if it doesn't do, you got to start completely over. So be aware of which way the Dremel's turning, which way the dust is going to go, which way the debris is going to go that it's slinging. Make sure you're comfortable how you're standing. All these things equate to it being done how you want it to be done the first time. If it looks like I'm struggling right here, well, my cutoff wheel's wore down and it doesn't want to reach where I want it to without the Dremel hitting a piece of carbon. So I'm just kind of going to get it cut here the best I can with what I got. I don't really want to change wheels out right now. So I'm going to finish this cut and then show it to you in just a second. And I can't stress enough how much confidence is important in doing something like this. Knowing it's going to turn out like you want it to is a big deal. If you're worried about it, it'll usually show in your work. So just try to believe in yourself. So the last thing you have to do is cut the notch for the trans hump. So we're just going to take a little square out right here. If you do something like this, be real careful with the saw because it will just cut that stuff. Like once it gets in there, it's just butter. So just you can always cut more, but it's hard to cut less after it's cut. So be careful. So here's our piece. Holes look good, edges look good, notch looks good. I'm going to clean it up a little bit with a file. Just kind of sharpen some stuff. And here it is on the BAJA, just laying. Everything looks good, it fits good, everything's just like I wanted it. Here I busted 3 holes in it and mounted my ESC mount to it. I cut a notch in the bottom so the ESC fans could suck air through, also cooling the motor a little bit. So here in just a second, we're going to get it all put back together, and then I'm going to show you how it comes apart. I'm going to put the 3 screws in this side that hold the plate to the conversion, and then I'm going to put the 3 screws in the other side, put the ESC back on it, hook the wires up, everything I need to do. I may speed the video up a little bit from here just so you don't have to wait so long watching, and I'll be back in a minute. So right now I'm putting the 6 screws in that holds the carbon fiber plate and the top plate to the conversion. And then we'll look at it all bolted together. So here it is. The plate's bolted down. The mount is bolted to the plate. Everything's sturdy. Everything looks really good. Here's the ESC set down in it. I'm double-siding tape my BEC and my receiver where they need to go. Try to plan this stuff out the best you can as far as what's going where and the best way it should be. I really had a idea for all of this, and here in just a little bit you'll see why. There's my receiver stuck in place. When you're using double-sided tape, I get it where I want it, and then I apply pressure for 10 seconds. Like, hold it down for 10 seconds, And usually that makes it stick pretty good. This is my steering wire right here. It's the only wire that runs up front to the steering servo. Everything else is contained right here to the ESC, the BEC, the receiver, everything. So I only have one wire that runs up to the front of the vehicle. Everything seems in order. Let's hook the motor up. One of my favorite things about the LMT motors are the 6 wires on the ESC and the motor. You can get 3-wire motors and 3-wire ESCs, but I like the 6-wire because it cuts down on the current in each wire, especially when you're running 12S and above. It just keeps things cooler, and I just think it really helps everything out. When wiring these motors up, the wires go in order, like each wire goes beside each wire. So you start at the first wire on the board, and the next wire goes next to it, and you go all the way around the clock. It really doesn't matter where the wires are as long as they're in order around the clock. So here it is, all put in, hooked up, tightened down. Everything's plugged in except for the steering servo. All the motor wires are in. Everything's ready to go. And everything looks real good. Everything's tight. Fit's good. I'm really happy with it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 6 screws out of the top plate. And I'm going to take everything off the carbon fiber, and it all should come off together. 6 screws should take the whole ESC off, the receiver, the BEC, everything still hooked all together, and everything should just come off in one piece, more or less. I'm going to speed the video up a little bit, so enjoy. So I'm going to take the wires apart on the motor. Take these 3 screws out of this side. I've already took the 3 screws out of the other side. I drop tools just like everybody else. So I got the 6 screws out of the carbon fiber plate, and I should be able to just pick it all up. There it is, all in one piece, just like I was hoping. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking with me through that. It really turned out good like I wanted it to. So if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do that. Everything looks good. We're going to take one last look at the BAJA after I got everything done like I wanted to it, which was changed out an extended chassis, made the carbon fiber plate, moved the ESC up, and I think it looks great. Check it out. So I really like the way it turned out. I like the look of the buggy. I changed out the chassis for a 4-inch extended chassis, as you can see. The carbon fiber plate looks really good. It works really good. Everything turned out just like I envisioned it. And I'm really happy with it. And I really appreciate y'all sticking with me and watching. And next time, thanks.